Welcome back to Celebrate Truth. I'm Robbie Davidson, and we've got a great video for you today. I wanted to thank Black Cat IM for the heads up on this one. This is from Secure Team 10's channel on YouTube. Now, this channel goes through quite a bit of footage, whether it's NASA, SpaceX, space agencies, pretty much all around the world, showing where there's alien activity or where there's UFO spottings in the footage. Now, as we've kind of looked into our investigation, we've come to the understanding that a lot of that stuff is nothing but lies, especially with the footage they're putting out. Now, getting into NASA and all their testing in swimming pools and all the bubbles that we're seeing from space, it makes one wonder what really is going on. So you have to ask that question when you're looking at this footage. First of all, everyone is taking it and saying, yep, they're in space. Therefore, they're looking for UFOs and they're looking for this activity in outer space. This recent video is, like I said, from Secure Team 10. This is about the SpaceX, the satellite launch that happened recently, April 2nd on the 17th, I believe, or this is when the video is dated. But anyways, they look at this and they're very inquisitive about these moving objects they see in this footage released from SpaceX, supposedly in space. Now, if we start to look at this from a different angle, and just supposedly that they're not in space after all, but they're in a water tank. Now, let's start to look at this footage as in black, dark water, and the lights that they see, possibly, could they be divers? Could there be something going on? I'm going to let you guys take a look at this and see. And again, if you've followed the whole UFO activity for many years and stuff, again, it makes a lot of sense. There's some things going on. Why are they cutting off the feed? You're going to see how SpaceX completely cuts off when they see this footage. Now, personally, if SpaceX caught some amazing footage of some extraterrestrials or UFOs or some kind of activity, why would they cut? Why would they want people to see that? Again, it gets really interesting because as we know with the New World Order, with the alien deception, you would want more and more people realizing the reality of aliens in order to buy into the propaganda and kind of the deception that will come upon the world. So in my opinion, they would want to show this footage. They wouldn't want to cut away unless, however, this is just a bunch of swimming pool testing going on. And unfortunately, there was some stuff caught in the footage that possibly could give them away on what they were trying to do. But without going into it too much, like I said, I'll comment as we're going along on the video, but I want you to be the judge. What do you think they are? Because this channel, which is a very large channel, and they've covered UFO sightings for some time, like I said, they're dead set convinced that this SpaceX satellite launch is in space. Therefore, they're cutting away because they caught alien activity, unidentified flying objects, but I'm going to say unidentified swimming objects. But you be the judge.
Moving on, let's get to this UFO footage. And this was actually emailed to me multiple times, and it comes from the live feed of this SpaceX rocket launch. So they launched this rocket on the 30th, and the rocket and the booster had a camera on it. So you could watch it leaving Earth, going up into space, separating, and at one point in the footage, when they're in space, you can see the blackness of space here and the end of the rocket. And at no time in this footage do we see any stars or anything like that. Every now and then we'll see some debris coming off of the rocket. It's obvious debris, but at one point, and as was pointed out to me, we do see something much stranger.
Now here it comes. Keep watching.
Rocket. And just as it does, the feed is cut. So you're seeing the clip here, and I want you guys to watch just above the rocket here, right next to this time counter up here in the right-hand corner. So check this out. And there it is. And look how quickly the feed is switched back to this animated view that we're seeing.
Cartoon ball.
Which just gives us an idea of where the rocket is as it's moving over the United States and over planet Earth. And I found it very strange that the feed was cut so suddenly at the precise moment that this formation of unknown objects in the distance were seen passing by or were passed by the rocket as they sat there in space. And as you're seeing this close-up and slowed-down view here, I'm going to show you some different filters. These are not debris coming from the rocket. Whatever these things are, these are stationary. They're moving together as one tight unit. And you can see here, as they come in from the top of the frame, you can clearly see we have a formation of 3 reflective objects, making up this triangular shape. And then to the left of this object, we see yet another reflection, another object of some kind. And in fact, just before the feed is switched, it would appear that we may even have another object that just barely enters the frame at the top, just as the feed is switched over. And like I said, this was sent over to me by, at least 20 people who saw this and said, whoa, okay, these are not stars. In no other part of this footage will you see stars, all right? The camera's exposure settings are set as such that they are unable to compensate the faint stars in the background.
Or there's no stars in swimming pools. That's kind of my theory.
Space footage or photographs, and that is because of the exposure setting on the camera.
Oh, it's the exposure.
When you have something bright, it makes it very difficult.
They can see 18 billion light years away, but they can't catch a star. Yeah, makes sense.
And as I'm letting this play here, I want you to see how they immediately cut to this animated tracking system.
Animated cartoon
almost
ball.
as if they're giving it just enough time for this UFO to move out of sight before they
Look, the Earth is a ball.
Look
Look at it. I can see it. It looks so real.
We no longer see any unknown objects in sight, and there's nothing there.
Yeah, and they cut away, and when they go back, these divers or whatever this stuff is under the water is gone.
These are not stars. There is nothing else in this footage, and you'll see multiple angles here. Nothing, just the darkness of space.
Or a dark swimming
We
pool.
just saw earlier, before they cut this feed, which again is very suspicious to me, the timing of this feed cut, just as these objects
Scuba
came
divers?
into view. And you know what this immediately reminded me of? I posted a
NASA.
clip a couple of weeks back of another amazing clip taken from the International Space Station, where all
This
of a
should be
sudden,
good.
and just like here, we start to see these reflective objects moving in the distance behind the ISS, and you're seeing that here. And it was realized that these lights here, all of these different lights, are obviously a part of one large object passing by the ISS. And you can even see some surface features and reflections in this footage. Look at this. Originally, when I posted it, I thought these were separate objects, just moving in formation. But it was later pointed out by everyone that, hey, this is all part of something much bigger. This is one ship or one craft, and it would have to be massive. And, you know, that was just an eerie yet very amazing piece of UFO footage. One of the best that I've seen from the space station.
Now, as we've been talking about the ISS, most ridiculous thing there is, again, we know that they tell us that it's 250 miles high. Now, if anyone honestly believes that they're going to be seeing the ISS, oh, look, I see it in the sky. We've gone through this in previous videos. It's absolutely absurd. All right. You can hardly see an airplane at 30,000 feet. Do the math on it and tell me that you can actually see an ISS at 250 miles away. All right. Anyways, the people that go around saying, I seen it, what they see is a light, is what they see. Okay. We're not debating that there's lights in the sky. All right. But to say definitively just because NASA provides cartoon computer generated imagery saying it's flying over your house. Oh, that must be it. I see a light. Yep, there's that light and it's moving. So that must be the ISS. First of all, if you think that alien spacecraft are flying around the ISS, seriously, you need your head examined. Like UFOs are going to be flying around the ISS. Now, it's one thing before when we believed in the whole Big Bang heliocentric universe and time, space with billions of galaxies and aliens coming in and stuff like that. Like they're going to be coming 250 miles from the ISS. If they're going to come that close, why don't they come right in? But anyways, this is what's interesting is we can go to these type of channels that are really dissecting NASA and SpaceX, but see, understand that they're looking for things within their worldview, within the context of space. Therefore, everything is UFO, unidentified flying objects. But what if, indeed, it's unidentified swimming objects, things that are underwater, things that are computer generated? We need to start looking at the footage for this. Now, I know I've seen some of the comments over at this channel, and people were bringing in space is fake. And of course, these people, there's going to be a lot of cognitive dissonance when it comes to the reality and the worldview they have. So, what I'm suggesting is if you do go over to this channel or other ones that are really trying to figure these things out, these guys are really searching for the truth. They're trying to find the deception in NASA and SpaceX, and for good reason. These guys are a joke. These businesses, when you're getting into SpaceX, when you're getting in Virgin Galactic, it's going to bring, Stephen Hawking up into space. Hello, I'm in space. I'm excited. I mean, how do you even go in the wheelchair? But again, they let us believe this, and all these space agencies. And I'm going to be doing a video probably after this one, maybe tomorrow. And I'm really going to go into SpaceX and their whole nonsense into Mars and their just unbelievable stuff that's coming out right now. But again, they're really pushing this out to make us believe all this stuff is happening. The reality is they're not going to Mars and Jupiter and Pluto and they're not going to the sun. All right. They're just not doing these things. But they want us to believe that they're making bigger leaps in technology and they're going further. And look, we're progressing. Even though if you actually look at the space program and you look at the same rocket from the 60s to today, hasn't changed much, has it? Not much technology's gone into that because nothing really new is going on, right? Space shuttle and stuff, it's a plane. Come on, look at it. It's a plane. But anyways, you start looking into these things, technology is not rapidly advancing. You've got guys in computer screens and all this stuff to have the illusion that really this is happening. But come on, it's been almost 50 years. They can only go 400 miles high. Look this up. Man craft. I mean, let's not get into the probes and all this stuff, but people in spaceships or whatever, they can only go 400 miles since the supposed moon landings. So let's just stop right there and say that's kind of strange. And over 50 years, they're not really going anywhere. But yet, all this propaganda we're going to Mars, we're going to Pluto, and we're going to do all sorts of amazing things. Look at us go. We love Hollywood. Woohoo, science fiction. And it is. It's all science fiction. Start to actually wake up, look into these things. I know it's hard for a lot of you, and that's fine. But when you were looking at this footage, let's start actually going to places like this because they are going to capture some really cool anomalies, things that they're seeing. But again, because of their worldview, it's always going to be alien. It's going to be, in space. But as we've seen with a lot of the space, the walks, all these sort of things, they're done in fish tanks. All the testing is done. We're catching bubbles all over the place coming out of their helmets and all that. There's no bubbles in space, people. Okay. I don't know, what Stream 10 here, has to say about bubbles in space. Maybe they haven't got the footage yet, but there's no bubbles in space. Are those alien spacecrafts coming out? Are those little micro, aliens, UFOs? Maybe that's going to be their explanation because everything has to evolve in space. But if they're in water and it's bubbles, we need to start looking at this footage differently and try to catch these guys in the deception that they're trying to perpetrate in the whole world. And that's really what they're doing constantly. Over and over and over, they feed us nothing but nonsense. Look at this control room. We're talking to Mars right now, and we're getting pictures beamed back right now from the rover. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Can you see that footage up there? And it's ridiculous. Come on. All right. Just look at the distances. We hardly have the technology when it comes to our cell phones. We run out of reception if we go out, a few miles out of our city. Our reception's cutting out, and they're going to tell us that they're actually beaming pictures. Crazy amounts for space. I mean, what kind of technology is that? It's ridiculous, is what it is. All right. But we've all bought into it. We just believe it. Why? Because we love the idea of space. We love the idea space, the final frontier, and that we can travel the universe and we can meet, you know, nice friendly aliens and hopefully we don't run into some bad aliens and just all this stuff. It's science fiction, you know, just kind of turn off Star Wars for a bit, turn off Star Trek for a bit, stop going to the Trekkie conventions. Just take a little break, take a little breather, start looking at it differently. And again, if there is deception going on, the question is what's going on? Why are they cutting away? They don't want us to see certain things. Well, the question is what is it that we would see? to me, having us see the fact that there's other life in the universe, to me, is not really a dangerous, secret. It's like we don't know what it is, but there it just validates the fact that, hey, we're just one of billions of other lives, and yeah, they may be curious and stuff, and it just perpetuates the lie. So for me, I think there's things going on they don't want us to see, like we could call them on, the hoax that it is, that we can say this is a deception, you know, bigger than climate change. I love that quote. I don't know if anyone's seen that recent footage, goes up in city council and basically talks about how, all this ISS and this fakery going on with bubbles and green screens, you know, just as fake as climate change. But again, this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a world that basically backs anything to do with science, with NASA. They could never tell us anything wrong. They could never lie to us. Everything they say is true. Why would they lie? What would it, serve? What would be the purpose for them to lie? But the reality is there's lots of lies. You just need to go looking for them. You can expose them. It's easy to do. And this is a great step. So I want to say, thank you to Black Cat I am for the heads up on this channel, but also this footage, because as they're freaking out, ooh, aliens, spaceships, what are we catching here? I'm thinking it just might be a dark pool and we're looking at something moving in water. Does it have those trademarks? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm open here. I just want to know all the different ideas around this so that we can all come together and kind of decide what really is going on. How are they doing these things? And let's expose them. Guys, let's keep exposing the world's lies. Celebrate truth. Blessings to y'all. Take care. Welcome back to Celebrate Truth. I'm Robbie Davidson, and we've got a great video for you today. I wanted to thank Black Cat I am for the heads up on this one. This is from Secure Team 10's channel on YouTube. Now, this channel goes through quite a bit of footage, whether it's NASA, SpaceX, space agencies, pretty much all. Or possibly, could they be divers? Could there be something going on? I'm going to let you guys take a look at this and see. And again, if you've followed the whole UFO activity for many years and stuff, again, it makes a lot of sense. There's some things going on. Why are they cutting off the feed? You're going to see how SpaceX completely cuts off when they see this footage. Now, personally, if SpaceX caught some amazing footage of some extraterrestrials or UFOs or some kind of activity, what the video is dated. But anyways, they look at this and they're very inquisitive about these moving objects they see in this footage released from SpaceX, supposedly in space. Now, if we start to look at this from a different angle, and just supposedly that they're not in space after all, but they're in a water tank. Now, let's start to look at this footage as in black, dark water, and the lights that they see around the world showing where there's alien activity or where there's UFO spottings in the footage. Now, as we've kind of looked into our investigation, we've come to the understanding that a lot of that stuff is nothing but lies, especially with the footage they're putting out. Now, getting into NASA and all their testing in swimming pools and all the bubbles that we're seeing from space, it makes one wonder what really is going on. So you have to ask that question when you're looking at this footage. First of all, everyone is taking it and saying, yep, they're in space. Therefore, they're looking for UFOs and they're looking for this activity in outer space. This recent video is, like I said, from Secure Team 10. This is about the SpaceX, the satellite launch that happened recently, April 2nd on the 17th, I believe, or this is when